Hello book lovers and welcome to Book Talk Radio Club. My name is Claire Perkins and today I'm talking to author Cathy Lynn Brooks. Cathy is the author of Not My Story to Tell, My Journey Through Grief, Loving and Losing a Daughter with Bipolar Disorder, and Justine, anecdotes, stories, blog posts and meanderings that didn't fit the thesis of Not My Story to Tell when she was trying to make sense out of her daughter Justine's life and death. Cathy spent her career working with children with special needs, but despite her professional experience, it was still heartbreaking for her to witness the challenges faced by her daughter Justine. Justine always reminded Cathy of Annie Oakley. She was fierce and protective of the vulnerable, but she was also plagued by her own troubles. At a young age, Justine was diagnosed with bipolar disorder and post-traumatic stress disorder. As Justine grew up, she often made bad choices due to the traumas of her past and her mental illness. Through it all, Cathy never stopped loving her daughter. Hello, Cathy. Welcome and thank you for coming back on Book Talk Radio Club.
Thank you, Claire. Thanks for having me.
Sure. Cathy, tell us about Justine. What kind of person was she?
Justine was a fun-loving girl, and she loved to laugh. She was strong-willed and independent, and she was a loyal friend and family member. Her passion was helping the homeless.
Where did that come from?
She decided that when she was having troubles of her own, that if she didn't have supported family and friends, I don't know exactly when Justine was diagnosed because I was never allowed to ask the psychiatrist. She was taken into the psychiatrist's office and I waited in the waiting room. When I did want to inquire what was happening, the psychiatrist told me that his patient was confidential and I wasn't allowed to know. So I really didn't know until she was about 25, and I asked her. I thought, I'd read something, and I thought, I wonder if you're bipolar. And she said, oh, I was diagnosed when I was 16, but she hadn't told me that information. I just thought she had depression.
Isn't it amazing though, she was your child, but you still weren't allowed to know what the diagnosis was? I find that very odd.
Yes, well, she was 16, so I think they thought she was of age to be confidential.
Huh. So how did you as her mum help her when she was going through the manic side of bipolar?
I don't know how I really helped her since I didn't really know she was having a manic side of the whole thing when she was a teenager. I just had to be a good parent of a teenager and try and make sure I knew who she was with, where she was, and to stick with curfews and that sort of thing.
Sure.
When she was in the manic phase, she was out a lot. So she was in her party phase.
Right.
Say that.
You say Justine made some bad life choices. Are bipolar children or young adults able to discriminate between good and bad life choices? Do they tend to make these choices when either in the hyper or depressive episodes or both?
Yes, I think she made bad choices mostly when she was in her manic phase because that's when she was out with in the community and doing things like that. When she was depressed, she was sleeping a lot and she would stay in a lot and she internalized a lot of things.
Why is your book titled Not My Story to Tell?
When Justine was 6, she was sexually abused, and I called the Rape Crisis Center. I didn't really know who to call,
Sure.
And I explained what the situation was, and I said that I really wanted for her to talk about this and for me to talk about this and for this sort of thing to get out into the community because it was very, very hush-hush at that time. And the woman on the other end of the line said that it wasn't my story to tell, it was Justine's, and she silenced me.
Huh. You published Not My Story to Tell as you hope that it inspires others struggling with mental illness or caring for a family member with the same issues. What would be your number one advice to parents with a bipolar child?
I would just say to keep trying to find help. I think help is a lot more available now than it was at that time. But just keep trying to find help for your child and trying to be supportive in the best way that you can.
Yeah, I think that's all you can do, isn't it?
Yes.
There's a beautiful sparkly turquoise unicorn on the front cover of both of your books. Is there particular significance for this image?
Justine loved unicorns as a child. She collected them when we decorated her bedroom with wallpaper, and she had all kinds of pictures and different things around her bedroom when she was smaller. So when I was stumped as to what to use for a cover image, my friend Kate said she'd always pictured a unicorn on the cover. Justine's lifelong friend Ashley Barron is an illustrator, and I asked Ashley if she could come up with a unicorn design to represent Justine's personality, and that's how she came up with the sparkly one that's standing up on her feet. Fierce.
It's lovely. Justine was published just 4 months after Not My Story to Tell. What made you decide to write and publish this book so quickly after Not My Story to Tell?
I had written most of the chapters, and I was going to include them in Not My Story to Tell, but the editor said they didn't fit my thesis, so I removed them. And in the meantime, I was doing a lot of blogging, so I thought I probably had enough material to make another book. People had said that they thought My Story to Tell was too short, and they'd like to know more about Justine and more happier stories about her. So I thought I had enough to just make a little additional book to go with the first one.
Justine has anecdotes included. Would you like to tell us one or two? Justine has anecdotes included. Would you like to tell us one or two?
Yes, I've got a couple that I'll just read right from the from the book. They're very short. So the one is Angel on Her Shoulder. Justine had 3 tattoos, and I'm not a big fan of tattoos, and I told my daughters to really think about how permanent they are and to choose something that is about them if they ever decided to get one. Justine really did heed my advice. She had one on her wrist with Brooks written on it, which was her last name, and the other 2 were tiny little ones on the back of each shoulder. One was an angel and one was a devil. They were like the TV shows where the angel would whisper the right thing to do in one ear while the devil would tell her the wrong thing in the other ear. She was always struggling to make the right decision depending on her mood, and her tattoos suited her perfectly.
Yeah.
When I decided to make a memorial garden for Justine, I chose a daylily from a designer daylily farm. It's called Angel on Her Shoulder. I was really excited to find a flower so representative of Justine. It's yellow with a red center, and although not purple, her favorite color, but the complementary color to accent purple and pink.
Oh, that's lovely. And you've also included blog posts. You started a blog soon after she died in the car accident. I'm guessing you found writing the blog therapeutic.
Yes, I did find it very therapeutic, and I was also trying to find a platform for my book, because one of the first things I had learned in a workshop is that before you even publish a book, you need to get a platform. So I thought blogging would be a good form of a platform for people to see my writing, to decide if they wanted to read the book, and if it would be something that they'd like to buy.
I love the fact that you included happy stories about Justine's life. It shows you looked beyond the tragedy and chose to remember Justine with joy. That's wonderful. It can be so very easy to just dwell in loss and grief. What's one of the happiest memories you have of Justine?
I always remember her laugh, and people tell me they remember her laugh too. She had a very, very unique laugh. It was very boisterous, very strong, and I can still hear it to this day. So my memories are of Justine laughing.
Oh, that's lovely. What was the reaction from your family on the publication of both books?
I had overwhelming support from all my family and friends. I've had nothing but positive feedback on the book, both books.
Oh, that's great. Well, I'm not surprised. I mean, I've read Not My Story to Tell. It was wonderful. You've had some great feedback for Justine, including you and your family are a true inspiration to all, and heartfelt and honest, a truly beautiful tribute to your daughter. Grief is such a personal thing, so this is so brave in its telling. Time passes, life changes, but the person stays lodged in your heart forever. That's just lovely and so true. Cathy, you'll be publishing a new book very soon, but it's not a memoir, is it? It's a novel called Rose-Coloured Houses, and it's about a little girl who finds out her father isn't who she thinks he is. It chronicles her life and her father's life, spanning the entire 20th century. And the setting is Rosedale, an affluent neighbourhood in central Toronto, Ontario, Canada. I'm looking forward to reading that. Why did you choose that setting?
That's where my mother was from, actually, and a lot of the stories are stories that she told me from her childhood. So there's a bit of biography in there, autobiography.
When's it going to be published then?
It's at the editor's now, and I'm expecting it back in a few weeks, and hopefully in this summer I'll have it published.
Oh, that's brilliant. Lastly, where can Book Talk Radio Club listeners purchase Justine and Not My Story to Tell?
Now My Story to Tell is available in paperback and Kindle ebook on Amazon worldwide, and Justine is available in Kindle form on Amazon.
Lovely. All right, well, thank you, Cathy. That was really interesting and inspiring, of course. Please come back on Book Talk Radio Club. I'd love to chat with you and hear more. In the meantime, good luck for the future, and thank you, everyone, for listening to Book Talk Radio Club. Lovely to talk to you, Cathy.
Thank you very much, Claire.
Bye now.